Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us for our second APNG webinar. Today, Benson, who is a co-founder for CyCraft and CyCarrier, and also advisor to Department of Cybersecurity Executive Wuhan and Taiwan. And he has been working on as a cybersecurity expert, and then also he make innovation on this area with AI and machine learning technology. So he's going to give us a webinar talk today on the topic cybersecurity tips for post-COVID new normal work from anywhere. And the most important thing is he is proudly one of our alumni of APNG camp. Benson, thank you for giving us a talk today. And
yeah, thank you very much.
I will make the available for screen share. Okay, so please go ahead.
Okay, yeah.
We will have about an hour talk, Benson's talk, and then we will have a Q&A session.
So can everyone see the slide?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Yeah, so thank you for the opportunity, the invitation, especially Tommy-san for inviting me for this talk. I'd like to begin with how I started participating in APNG camp back in 2003. That was in Busan, Korea, and then in Australia, and then in Kyoto. And since then, I started my career. So after graduation from National Taiwan University with a PhD in cybersecurity, I started joining a startup called Amorize Technology, doing source code review for 5 years. And then I founded my first company called Secure Lab for 3 years. We do a lot of email security. This company was acquired by Variant, an Israeli company. And then I stayed with Variant for 4 years doing R&D. Then in 2017, I founded my second startup called CyCarrier. And then I founded another startup called CyCraft doing AI. Eventually, I merged these two companies together with fundraising from other foreign investors, including like Pavilion Capital, which is in Singapore. So in my today's talk, I will share how to get online security, my personal recommendation, and then how do you make sure that you are secure when you want to work with company data, whether at home or at your personal laptop. And then eventually, I like to share some very basic tips on how you can check your personal computer using some openly available free tools. So first of all, because of this COVID-19 situation, now everyone is very used to work from anywhere, especially working from home. And these brings three implications to the company as a cybersecurity manager. Now you need to allow employees to work from home from a remote area, and then the employees, whether they like the computers or not, they need to stay at home, but you still want productivity, so they need to use computer more often. And then it's very hard to have a very distinguished line between company data and personal data. So it's gonna be another security issue. So I see that three things you need to be aware. First, you need to know cybersecurity seriously, and then you need a lot of authentications to make sure that the company knows that you are a valid employee. Vice versa, also to make sure that you can access the company data security. And then speaking of privacy protection, a lot of times you don't want the company to see your personal data, and also vice versa. The company also don't want their data to stay with your personal laptop. So privacy is very important for you and also for the company. And my first slide for this talk gonna be so how dangerous it is out there on the internet. Historically, up to nowadays, there are a total of more than 1 billion malware out there. So looking at this diagram, you immediately understand why you must install an antivirus, whether it is free or you pay for it. There are more than 350,000 new malware every day. And then if you look at the distribution among these malware on different operating systems like Windows, Android, and Mac OS, you will see that Mac OS has the fewest malware out there. So if you are using a Mac, the chances that you will pretty much lower. So speaking of antivirus, I would recommend Bitdefender. The free version is more than enough. I would also recommend a second antivirus. So you switch the two antivirus once a while. Maybe like, okay, this year I'm gonna use like Bitdefender. And then next year I will install like switch to Avast, so that you can enjoy the complement coverage between two different antivirus vendors from time to time. And Bitdefender is right now the market leader for free antivirus. And personally, I also find their detection rate very satisfied. So that's why I recommend these two antivirus. And then speaking of browser, this is the most important software that you will use when you get on the internet. I would recommend you separate the purpose of your online activities into your everyday browser, and another one is your account browser. It means you need two browsers to get online. For everyday browser, I emphasize you do everything, but do not log in any account with your everyday browser. So you can search anything here, but do not log in to the Google account when you search. So this is what I call everyday browser. And if you need to log on something, you need to enter your credential. Then you switch to another browser called account browser. So this account browser, you can choose a different brand, say Google Chrome or Microsoft Edge, or if you're using a Mac or iOS, then you have a Safari by default. So once again, everyday search, everyday web browsing, you use the everyday browser. And then whenever you need to log on something, you need to enter credential. You use another browser called account browser. In other words, no Google search in your account browser. The whole idea of this separation is that you don't want people to be able to track you, your interest, what keywords you punch in, what websites catch your attention. You don't want these giant companies to profile your personal attributions. So if you care your privacy, then you should have these kind of what we call a browser compartmentalization. There's a very good article on this medium.com. I put a reference here. You can look into more details why it's necessary to separate an everyday browser as well as an account browser. And after you have this browser, for your everyday browser, there are some additional tips you need to fine-tune, configure your everyday browser. Number one, do not put any bookmark that's related to a login page. So if you like, okay, I always want to log on to like Gmail, I always want to log on to YouTube, then you shouldn't use this for your everyday browser. So if you need to put any bookmarks, then you use the account browser for that. And then configure this everyday browser to be your default browser. What we mean by default browser, it means whenever you click on any link that might be browsing a page, the system automatically gonna bring the default browser to let you view that websites. And then you want this default browsing action to be associated with your everyday browser, so that you will not accidentally click a link and then it actually launch the account browser. You don't want the account giant tech company to know that you are interested of something, of any link, of any keywords. So make sure that you enable this everyday browser to be your default browser. And then you also want very strict privacy settings for your everyday browser. So configure it to be to the strict mode. I share a screenshot here, so you can simply follow the instructions. And speaking of different kinds of browser, I like to show you a screenshot that's in the dark world. When I say dark world, it means it's not normal. It's also sometimes it's not legit. In this bug bounty world, there are people looking for exploits or vulnerabilities of popular applications. Usually, the higher the bug bounty is, it also means it's more difficult to find such vulnerability. And if you look at this Google Chrome pricing for the bug bounty is as high as, it could be as high as $500,000. So it's relatively harder to find an exploit on Google Chrome. So relatively, you can feel it's more safe to use Google Chrome. There are three browser extensions I like to suggest that you should install. Number one is Privacy Badger. It's developed by this open source community, EFF.org. When you install this Privacy Badger, it will stop a lot of advertisement tracking. And once again, these add-on extensions help you to make sure not many people can track you. Track your profile, track your interests, track your attributions. I'll give you one example, like browsing these CNN news websites. So you want to read some news articles, and inside this Privacy Badger, you can see there are as high as 32 trackers on this page. So many companies want to know what articles you like to read, how many minutes you stay on that article, what are the keywords that you copy paste that you want to search more. These kind of things all related with your personal privacy. You don't want them to keep track of these data. So Privacy Badger can stop these potential trackers. And then you move on to like another site like Google News, much more friendly. They only allow themselves to track you. So you only see one ad tracker, which is Google Analytics. So once again, Privacy Badger stop these ad tracking transparently for you, so you don't have to worry about these ad tracker anymore. Nevertheless, remember browsing these news articles, always use your everyday browser. Another browser extension I like to recommend is to make sure all your website traffic are encrypted. And usually these kind of URL will start with a protocol called HTTPS. The S stands for secure. So with this browser extension, you can make sure whenever you are browsing a website, the extension will check for you whether this is a secure HTTP traffic or not. If it is not, then it will show a warning sign to warn you that you are now browsing a website that does not encrypt its traffic. So it's very handy to remind you every time if you are browsing a less secure website. Lastly, I also like to recommend install this cookie auto delete extension. Every time you close your browser, this extension would delete all the cookies that are left behind in your computer. These tech giant companies, they use cookie to take notes of your attributions they observe when you browse their websites. And usually they store these cookies on your computers so that the next time you browse their websites, they can restore these notes and then continue to track you. So with this cookie auto delete browser extension, every time you close your browser, it will delete all these cookies that was previously generated when you browse any websites. So every time you use your everyday browser with this extension on, you are using a brand new everyday browser. No websites can take notes inside the cookies. So now we move on to another cybersecurity issue, which is password. It's very challenging for people to remember all kinds of passwords. And there's an interesting website called Pawn Passwords. They collect all the leak password out there in the world. And you look at this number, is more than 500 million passwords, real world passwords, are being collected by the attackers or are being collected by someone because they are leaked. It's interesting to study these passwords and see what are the favorite passwords that we as a human beings tend to use in common. So speaking of like, okay, if there is a password that you need to enter and then you have to create one and it's 8 digits long, a lot of people simply use 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And you look at this screenshot, there are more than 7 million people actually use this password 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 6, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 out there. So these kind of very weak password you should avoid. And then what's the all-time favorite? All-time favorite is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 23 million times. So it's interesting to see these statistics. Actually, the most strong password is something that even yourself cannot remember. So how to use these kind of super difficult, very long, very complex password? You need a password manager to do that. So I will share you 2 kinds of password manager. One is completely offline. It's free. It's not online. You don't put this in the cloud. However, I would also recommend one that is cloud-based, where you will use cloud to have more convenience when you want to use this password manager. So KeePass is a free open source local installation. And as you can see from the screenshot, it will help you generate very complex password so that you can copy and then use it for one website and then use another complex password for another website, never reuse your password. And these allow you to be a master of the password using these kind of password manager. So as I mentioned, there are also cloud-based password manager. I recommend these two. They are also free. They have the paid plan, but I personally feel the free plan is more than enough. So these two are the ones I would also use, and I recommend to our APNG friends. One very important feature of these free password manager is the ability to sync on all of your devices. So some free password manager, they require you to upgrade to a paid version in order to sync on all devices. But these two are the free plan already cover these capability. So it's more than enough for your personal use. And speaking of password, more nightmare comes when you need more than one password. However, that's the reality for today's challenge. So the concept of two-factor authentication. After you enter your credential, the system or the website still require you to provide a two-factor, a multiple factor, another authentication to the websites. These make sure that you are the true user that they can trust. I personally really recommend you should enable two-factor authentication on all your internet accounts. So most important, like your Gmail, definitely you must enable two-factor authentication. So I put the relevant link there for you to enable if you haven't do so. And then you should also regularly check these account activities so that you are aware of any login activities. And if you don't know any login activities, you cannot recall that it looks suspicious to you, then you should change your password and then also to revisit your current security posture because someone might have your login credential. However, if you enable two-factor authentication, it's super hard for the malicious attacker to pretend you and then log into your Gmail. So enable two-factor authentication. It's very important. And then speaking of how you save your data, I recommend you need to use a secure data storage. So you look at this screenshot, you see I use one for work, and then I use another one for personal data, and then I use a third one for backup and restore. All these external storage, hard drive, they all enable password protection. So whenever someone, for example, if you lost your USB and then someone, they plug it into the computer, they cannot access your data without the right password. So it's important to enable password protection for your data storage. And if you cannot find a password protected data storage, then you need to use open source tools like VeraCrypt to create your own password protected data storage. And then we move on to more scary things like there are so many scam, phishing websites. Uh, they try to fool you that you should click and then install something to protect you. So these screenshot shows, they check your computer and it seems you have so many malware, and then they want you to uh, move on to install their software so that you can clean all these malware. All these are animations that they try to fool you that you have malware issues. So do not click on any of these phishing websites. And then I'd like to introduce you VirusTotal. VirusTotal is a website that can check any files against around like 80 antivirus. So this VirusTotal actually hosts more than 80 antivirus engines, all the vendors that you can think of, including the Bitdefender. And then whenever you submit a file to them, they're gonna show you the results, whether any of these antivirus engine actually label your file as malicious or not. So when to use VirusTotal, I would suggest that whenever you download something from the internet, even if you download it from the first page of your Google search, it doesn't matter how reputable they are, you still need to be careful whenever you are downloading something from the internet. So when you download something, then definitely you should use VirusTotal to check. And then when you receive something from your friends, from your colleagues, or someone simply send you an attachment, then you should be skeptical before you simply run that attachment, open that attachment. Then you can again check against VirusTotal. And one statistic on VirusTotal is every day more than 1 million submissions to VirusTotal at the moment. And then out of these 1.8 million submissions, it's very scary to see that 500,000 are detected as quite suspicious. So sometimes one engine could, because they only show the numbers of one or more engine detections. So it's not necessary to be like really malicious. Out of the 80 antivirus engines, some engines tend to be more paranoid. So it could be a false alarm. But if you submit something and then the big security vendor, they say it's malicious, then you should be very you should be very careful if you still want to insist on opening that file. So I give you a scenario. For example, I'm looking for some free software on the internet. For example, I want to download a YouTube video because YouTube doesn't allow me to download the video from YouTube. So I need some open source, I need some online tools to help me. Or you want to play a video and then your computer doesn't support that video format. So you want to look for a player that can support that particular video format. So there are many situations where you will download something from the internet. And the example I show here is just one of the few scenarios. So now you download something. What I would do is everything I download from the internet, I put at a temporary folder because I need to check if I really can open that file. And this file that I just downloaded from the internet, I would upload to VirusTotal to check its maliciousness. And then so you see this red color. So whenever you see a red color, it's something that you should be aware, danger, warning things. And you see these 2 out of 64, it means out of 64 antivirus engine, 2 actually say this is malicious. And one of the 2 is Microsoft. So Microsoft say this is a coin miner. Coin miner refers to these Bitcoin mining programs that would drain your computing resource. So you definitely don't want this because they are not mining the coin for you, they are mining for the hackers. So hackers are actually abusing your computing resource to mine the Bitcoins when you install this program that you just downloaded from the internet. Probably that is why they do it for free. So they give you this free software so they can abuse your computing resource. So checking this file against VirusTotal allow you to know that actually this is a malware. You shouldn't install this software. And then now we move on to emails. So when you use emails, no matter it's Google emails or other emails, emails have been in the wild for decades, and anything that happens inside email is all about social engineering. So always be very careful on any links or attachment in the email. And the screenshot I show here looks like a security alert from Google. Even these kind of alerts can be phishing. In other words, attacker can also pretend to be sending Google emails to you while you thought these emails come from the official Google. So I will give you one example on this scenario. So excuse that this is in Mandarin Chinese because that is the example that I found it. So in these security alert emails, it seems Google is trying to warn you that something is wrong with your account. And if you want to verify, you can click this link. And all the wordings that you see here, because the attacker, they copy exactly from the same official wordings, so they all look very legit. And even the link that they want to trick you to click, if you read that link URL, it says accounts.google.com. It also looks very legit. However, do not just click on that link because it reads very legit. Before you click the link, always use your mouse. So you mouse over, do not click, just simply move your mouse over that link to see what's the actual link behind that hyperlink. And then you will see on the very bottom of your browser, you will see the actual URL that represents that link. It's not actually google.com. It's called no reply. Actually, it's not no reply. The spelling is also very weird. So that domain is not google.com. So it might give you a sign that, oh, it's actually a phishing email because the link is not exactly what I want to click. And then if you check who is behind this domain, so you check, for example, you check against who is database, you will see that this domain from time to time, they have different registrant. So no matter what registrant they are not Google. So that domain does not belong to Google. So it validates that this is a phishing email. It's not an official email. When browsing the websites, you will not get official content from the Google because the domain simply does not belong to Google. And what would happen when you browse that website? a lot of time they pop up a Google login dialog box saying that, hey, you need to enter your credential in order to pass the authentication. This is where they would get hold of your credential after you enter your username and password. That's why they want to send you these phishing emails. They want your credentials. So again, be super careful about all the emails that you're receiving, and be skeptical on any links that you are going to click. And there are many small tips to give you a feeling that whether you are compromised or you are hacked or not. So these is from this article on the CISOonline.com. So I put the reference there. Some are quite interesting, and so it deserves your more detailed reading. I'd like to recommend a few free tools developed by Microsoft to help you inspect your computer, and then how to delete by yourself if that is a malware. So for the first small tools is called auto runs. There are many programs. They are being configured that every time you start your computer, they would be run automatically. So that's where the malware want to sit the most. Malware want to be reside on this location, so that every time you turn on your computer, they are being loaded automatically. And these are special places called auto runs. So these auto runs tools developed by Windows allow you to see a list of programs that will be kicked off automatically every time you start your computer. You can use this tool, and then also the tool already integrated with VirusTotal. So you can turn on this option, and then you can quickly check against VirusTotal to let you understand which program are malicious. You shouldn't have this program on your computer. And then another interesting free tool also developed by Microsoft is Process Explorer. It gives you visibility to all the running program on your laptop. Again, this one also integrates with VirusTotal, so you can automatically check the maliciousness of any running program. So I share with you a simple screenshot here. You can see it transparently compare against VirusTotal and then give you a score. And on the left bottom corner, you see these netcat tools. This is a malicious hacking tools. And then you see 29 out of 56. So if you didn't intentionally download this tool but for your personal experiment, then you shouldn't have this tool in your computer. You definitely need to delete this. And then probably you need to also like reformat your computer if you are not an expert to find out why you are being compromised. So these kind of basic tools are very handy for you, and then they are all free. Lastly, I'd like to share two advanced tips. One is using virtual machine, because the computer system, when you use it for a long time, chances that you will be compromised is incrementally increasing. So it would be best if every time you start working, it's always a new computer. So new computer means every time it's always from a clean state. That is why I would recommend in the long run you should start using like virtual machine environment. And there is a free virtual machine tool called VirtualBox where you can start with. And then another thing I also like to recommend is virtual tunnel network, or in most people call VPN. And there are two kinds of VPN that you can use. you use VPN to access company data. That's one kind of VPN. Another VPN is you want to hide your identity. You don't want people to know you are, for example, you are from United States. You are from a particular country. You want to hide your IP. You don't want this giant company to know where you are from. So that's another use of VPN. So here I recommend two VPN providers. One is free. One you need to pay the money, but it's a very good bargain pricing. So I recommend Node VPN if you want to pay, if you want a paid version. I will give you a very quick look and feel of this VPN. Like when you use this VPN, it will connect you to route all your traffic to a remote VPN server. So for example, right now I'm connecting to a VPN server in Taiwan, for example. Then it means all my internet browsing traffic are now routed to that particular server and then to the internet. So if there is anyone on the internet want to know where I'm from, all they see is an IP from Taiwan. But I might not be in Taiwan. I could be in Japan or could be anywhere on the world. And then the next minute, I could connect to another VPN server, like in the United States. Then again, all the traffic will now be routed to this VPN server in the United States. So everyone on the internet, when they look at my IP, they will see an IP located in the United States, rather than the actual IP that I'm currently using. So that is my today's talk. I welcome any questions, even after this webinar.
Thanks so much, Benson, for a very informative talk. We have several questions in chat window.
Oh, okay. Let me see the window.
I can read you the first question. So can't we use the same Chrome browser for everyday and account purpose? This is actually what I have been doing, and it's very convenient. So if I have to switch into different two browsers, it's more inconvenient. So I don't know.
So there is this so inside one browser, they all share the same. So I will start type some text because they all share same memory zone. They all share the same memory zone. So if you open like Google on tab 1, you open Google on tab 1, and then you open another Google service on like tab like 15. So you now open like 15 different pages. Tab 1 and tab 15, they can talk to each other. So they still can track you because it's in the same browser. So it's important to have this physical separation. Like, okay, I have one browser and then I use another browser to have this clear cut. Yeah, that is why two browser is important.
Benson, here I have a question. Like all these new browsers, when they are saying you are opening a new tab, they say it's a new process altogether which is open. So there are multiple processes which are open. So how these processes are independent then?
Yeah, because this is how the browser is designed. If they are all belong to the same websites. So if they all belong to the same websites, there's one thing called same domain policy. Same domain policy. They can share the data using cookie. And if you are browsing different websites, then they cannot share data. However, Even browsing different websites, if you have some vulnerability like cross-site scripting vulnerabilities, then hacker can steal your data between different tabs. So it's the reason I like to suggest two browsers for two very different purposes, like everyday and the one that you need log on is I want to make sure the difficulty to associate your everyday browsing profile and then your logon profile. I want to have this physical separation so that no giant company can quickly learn your browsing profile.
Yeah.
You know, when you Google search in your everyday browser, Google doesn't know who you are because you never log in. So they cannot know, oh, this person likes to search toys. This person likes to search textbook, but they cannot know who these attributes should belong to. They cannot associate with a Gmail account. So it's okay for them to learn my everyday browsing activity. Not to mention when I close my everyday browser, all the cookies are being deleted. Yeah. However, if you all of a sudden log on to Gmail, then all your like toy search and the textbook search are not associated with your Gmail account. They know who you are.
Okay, thank you.
Really interesting. Huh?
Very interesting question. This topics you explained. So here actually another question from Kashif that is
Okay.
I really feel very interesting. That Google also have a service. Google Chrome browser have a service to remember. Password vault. So, do you recommend to using those password vaults like Google and Safari?
Yes, that is also doable. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Like
That's
last
a
part.
yeah. Wait. Here, like I would like to say, like even for everyday browsing, and I use the single browser, and most of the time, this password manager we use it of Google Chrome in order to like sync those complex password across all our devices. So since this practice I've been using, in fact, most of the people have been using in the is it safe? Like if we are using one browser, other than the compromising on our the tracking stuff, is it safe to use this password manager of Google Chrome?
I would say I would say yes because it's more simple. Yes, I would say yes. Yeah.
So in case someone hacks our computer, can they still access those passwords which are saved in the browser?
Yes, they can.
So in that case, how this password manager is secure?
So that is why it's more secure to use a standalone password browser like the one I recommended because they all need you to enter a master key before you enter that software. But in a Google Chrome built-in password manager, they doesn't ask you to enter a very complex master key.
I understand. Thank you.
Uh, uh, you talk about like using one website like which can tells you whether this software has any leakage or not leakage. But what I have seen in the past is whatever software you download from the internet, if you put it for the software check, one or two warnings you will always get. So does this mean like you should not be using at all any freeware software or cracked softwares?
Yeah, because they are all in a binary form, so it's not open source. So it's very hard for you to know what's behind that binary. So if it's open source and then you compile by yourself, then it's more trustable. But if it's only a binary, you never know what's really inside the code.
No, that the question is, whenever you will check those software, you will always get a warning, one or two warnings for whatever software you will put it in, like you always get. So does this mean, like, if you get one warning, like process
You mean a
naked
warning?
or warning?
Warning, yeah. So I would say you look for big names. So if it's a big name warning, then you should trust them. If it's a nobody warning, then you can accumulate more warnings.
Mhm.
So here is another question from Ruman, that what are the basic things need to consider to make our website more secure from hacking? So I think Benson already answered the question that
Or what's top 10?
was top 10.
Yeah.
So follow all those warnings.
Yes, yes.
Practices, then that will help.
Yeah. And then when you make your website, I would say right now .NET is very secure. PHP is very hard to be secure.
I see. And how about Python Django?
Yeah, they are all more easier to be secure. Yes, they are all quite good. So in other words, I only don't like PHP.
Okay. I see. That's great talk. Thank you. And we are almost
Yeah.
Any
So I have
questions?
one more question. Like,
Sure.
since we are from the technology background, we understand security, but even we understand security, most of the time, just for our convenience, we bypass all this, whatever like you have told us. We 90% of the time we try to bypass them. But what happened, like, when our kids or our families are using the internet? How will make sure like they are secure, their communication with the internet is secure? So is there is any training which can be planned for them, or is there is any, I mean, understanding material which they should follow, or any tracking or any software which should be installed on their mobile devices or computers so that they are most of the time secure?
So I would recommend that you follow this Sense website. They have many training that you can recommend to your family members.
So one is the training part. What about the some monitoring software or some securing software to be installed on the mobile as well as on computer device? Because now most of the time they are doing work, I mean, schooling from home.
Mm-hmm.
So you cannot watch them 100% of the time. So, and they cannot follow Google
So for
Chrome.
monitoring, so if you are using Google, you actually can open a child account for your kids, and then you become the parental control that you can manage what kind of content and what kind of activity they can do inside the Google account.
What about their mobile devices?
Mobile
They all have
devices. So we probably need to search, because for example, for me, I open a Google account for my kids, and then I assign them to be under my management. So I'm like using the parental control of Google's to see their browsing things.
But what happened is
Benson,
they, yes.
okay. Benson, I just want to ask one question. Since you highlighted this PHP fact, you said it is not safe and you are not recommending. But of course, in our development, we highly use PHP. Can you give me few example of few facts? What's sort of security concern you say in PHP which is not in .NET or whatever the other programming language? In addition to that, still, you know, if we cannot switch out of PHP, what's the recommendation for you?
Yeah, so it all goes back to the OWASP top 10. If you look at the OWASP top 10, and then you will see it's very easy for PHP programmer to violate or make OWASP top 10 faults. And the PHP language itself is very loosely typed. You don't need to define any variables to be any data type. You simply write very freely. So it's very hard for the PHP engine to control what input data is valid. So they can blow very easily. They can explode very easily.
Yeah, right. So that's I understand. In that case, you know, our coding practice and our implementation practices will help on that. But of course, your point is valid in that case, where we have the front end done with the needed validation, and thereafter security in the back end will solve this problem, right? Rather than going out of it, because we have different.
So I would say for all these language, input validation is super important. You cannot count on the program language to do it for you. You as a programmer, you need to do input validation.
Yeah, clear enough. Then that's why I was wondering, because if that come as part of the programming language that we can use, otherwise we have to do it on our own, right?
Yeah.
Okay, clear enough. Thanks.
Python, I love Python, so I wouldn't say Python is not good. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, recently Django framework is getting more and more popular, and many web companies are using Django.
Yes, yes. So I would say after all, it's all about performance concern. You use different programming language. You want to apply them to all kinds of user scenario. But after all, when you try to fine tune to your best, and then you still find a particular program language will stuck at a certain performance threshold, then that's probably that program is not that perfect for that use case. So different programming language, they have a different best use case.
Yeah. So I have here, Grandpa is telling that we should actually, the things we learned today, it's very important for everyone to actually maintain and being secured. So we may have some regular session on security by you. So Grandpa is proposing that. So maybe in future also we'll have this kind of session. And
okay, yeah.
I would like to request you to share your this slide with the community, with us. Then we will upload this to our website with your presentation, because this is very useful thing, and these are the very basic thing that all internet users should follow to be secure.
Yes, yeah, you have my permission. I will share afterwards.
Okay, sure. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Any other questions? So I'm sorry about not noticing that was a kind of a hacking. It's called Zoom bombing. But what I was thinking while I was watching the screen is, oh, Benson has very interesting screensaver kind. All those lines, I thought it's like automatic screen saver screen showing a cybersecurity a kind of a symbol. So I was actually enjoying that, enjoying that creative screensaver. So I'm sorry. I should have read our chat window more carefully. Other questions, you guys? Then I have a question, very like a humanities kind of a question. Benson, you are working on cybersecurity, but once I started using the internet, since then, we talked about privacy issue very much. And do you think we still have a privacy in this networked world? And it has been many years we have been using the internet as an internet user, even before we aware of this kind of vulnerability. So I kind of, as a not tech experts, as a user with the humanities and social sciences background, I feel like I don't have a privacy anymore. And then I think all the websites I signed as a member, they have my personal information, and it's already been shared more than enough by people, companies. So I don't know whether I should start doing something and then caring about it. What's the point if it's already all shared?
So you need a regulation to make sure all these tech company would follow what they promise to you. Without regulation, they would abuse your privacy for their business interest. And GDPR is one of very strict regulation that I see a lot of enterprise are very afraid because of the expensive fines. Yeah.
Okay, we still have some hope, and then if we work on this issue together, probably we can make it the future better than our past and the present. So Benson, thank you so much for your talk. And then as Grandpa Tommy suggested, we may have to have you as a regular speaker for our webinar series, because it's very important issue.
Okay, I need time to prepare this webinar. So regular but not very tight schedule.
No, we'll give you enough time.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you for your talk today. And then everyone, thank you for joining us today. We had a really good talk, and then you guys raised really interesting questions. So it was a really interesting talk. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Benson. Thank you, Yan. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you for your nice presentation.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, have a good day. Bye.
Yeah, have a good day.
Yeah, hope to see you guys at our next webinar. Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.